This one comes from Rocky Joe Shields, and Rocky asks, do you miss the waiver trade deadline? With expanded playoffs, it feels like more teams might be out of it and some bigger trades happen. It's a good question, and my friend Jason Stark in The Athletic last week after the deadline raised the question of should this deadline be pushed back to August 15th, perhaps, to give teams more clarity, give them more of a chance to figure out who they are by that date, and then we can see from there what teams want to do. The waiver deadline, from a personal standpoint, was a major pain in the rear. I hated it. And I hated it, and this is selfish on my part. Not because trades were made. Trades are always fun. But if you remember who went on waivers and who was claimed, it was all confidential. And oh my gosh, trying to get that information was like trying to get something out of the CIA. And then it also just continued trading season, and it just kind of dragged on, and there was no break. That's my selfish personal reasons. From the standpoint of the sport, it was just confusing, and the waiver process as a whole was this Byzantine, complicated mess, and it just led to a lot of different kinds of issues. That said, what Jason wrote about pushing the deadline back and maybe giving teams more time, it's something he basically concluded should not happen based on this year's deadline, which was a little bit unusual. But it's something we need to watch in the coming years, because if more teams being in it leads to less of a sexy July 31st, August 1st deadline, then baseball will need to revisit this question. And it's an interesting question. I've always liked the fact that you have 2 months to go after the deadline. You have to make a decision after 4 months, and then 2 months left, and you have to figure it out. August 15th, there'd be only 6 weeks left. It's just a little bit different, the dynamic. I'm not sure it would be beneficial. But again, something to watch because, as you mentioned, Rocky, the expanded playoffs have changed the entire way teams approach the postseason picture and the deadline.